Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, let me acknowledge the presence of the principals in our midst, Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane in the Presidency, Women, Youth and Persons with Disability, Minister Lindiwe Zulu, the Minister for Social Development, Deputy Minister Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, in the same Department for Women, Youth and Persons with Disability, UN Resident Coordinator, Ms. Nados Bekele Thomas. Also in our midst is WaterAid Regional Director for Southern Africa, Mr. Robert Kampala, Country Representative for the United Nations Population Fund, Country Office, Ms. Beatrice Mutali, Country Representative from WaterAid, Mr. Elijah Dera, and the CEO of Footprints Foundation, Mr. Eric Mlambo, including our senior government officials present today. Good afternoon. I'm going to be very fast to the point so that we meet our timeline as agreed, that we start promptly so that we finish on time. I will then invite to the podium the Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, our Deputy Minister in the Department, Presidency, Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, to do the welcome as well as the purpose of the day. Over to you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Acting DG. Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, Minister Zulu, our UN representative, the head here in South Africa. It's friends, it's a great honor for me to also be part of this ceremony. This is a significant ceremony for us. It's in line with our commitment, which we have consistently made as the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability, that will advocate, will monitor what other government departments are doing to ensure that the rights of persons with disability are at the center of the agenda. We are here today with our social partners. Will be addressed fully by the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability. Suffice for me to say is to ensure that as the whole country is looking at the most vulnerable in society, as COVID-19 has done, to show us that we are highly unequal, as the President has said many times, and also we have high levels of unemployment, high levels of poverty, a country with too many people with great needs. Our persons with disability are not marginalized or forgotten. So through this partnership today, we have come to say we are realizing our commitment and our vision for an inclusive social agenda around COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Minister, for the welcome and opening remarks. I will then invite our partners for their remarks. And the first speaker is Ms. Nados Bekele Thomas, UN Resident Coordinator, South Africa.
Just a new way of doing things. Good afternoon. Honorable Minister in the Presidency, Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Madam Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, Honorable Minister of Social Development, Mr. Lindiwe Zulu, Honorable Deputy Minister in the Presidency, Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, WaterAid Regional Director, Mr. Robert Kampala, United Nations Fund Population Fund country representative, my colleague, Ms. Beatrice Mutali, and we have also our representative of the United Nations Information Center here, Mr. Masimba, and the CEO of Footprint Foundation, Mr. Eric Mlambo, Water country representative, Mr. Elaji Adera, Director of Langalile Youth Foundation, Ms. Nobulu Langa, Acting Director General Department Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Shoki Shabalala, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's with great humility, and I say with great humility, that I address you today on behalf of the United Nations country team in South Africa on this auspicious occasion of the handover process on the ministerial health and hygiene management products. South Africa reported its first case of COVID-19 on 5th of March 2020. Since then, as the UN family, we are pleased with the level of government leadership and robust and comprehensive health and socio-economic response programs undertaken. From our side, to intensify our contributions to the national response, on 30th April 2020, and I'm so glad that Madam Zulu was there, the minister was there with us, I launched the $136 million South Africa Emergency Flash Appeal. The appeal aims to meet the needs of 9 million South Africans in collaboration with 21 partners. What's happening today is a continuation of our commitment in solidarity with the South African government and partners to ensure that gains made towards the achievement of sustainable development goals are not reversed. As a result, the emergency appeal supports the existing coordination efforts of government, stakeholders, and other partners with the aim to ensure efficient and effective prevention and response. The financial implications exceed the resources available within the UN system and is inclusive of national partners and also non-national partners. On this basis, we will continue to mobilize resources to significantly contribute to the identified needs with our partners. In recognition to the current context of exacerbated risks and vulnerabilities from COVID-19, as the UN country team, we have been engaging with government, development partners, and donors, civil society organizations, private sector, to mention just a few, to coordinate our efforts to ensure that we are able to meaningfully respond to national efforts. This pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, really requires all of us together, individually and collectively. And therefore, ours is just to use our convening powers and bring and galvanize all partners so that we can deliver together with the government as one. Therefore, I think what we would do now is just a continuation, like I said. Last week, as the UN family, we handed some PPEs to 5 mayors through the department, through the Ministry of Kokta. And also we gave some PPEs to the Department of Social Development. And today is just a continuation of what we have started doing, and we will keep on doing until we defeat this pandemic and until we mitigate the socioeconomic impacts of this pandemic. And for today's event, I would like to call my colleague, the UNFPA representative, to come and just say a few words and hand over the whatever we have to the minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you to yourself, Madam Nados. I will request that before our colleague comes over, I will give an indication at what point you should do that. I would like to request that we just proceed with those remarks, we conclude on the remarks, and then we will bring in the next part of that item. Okay. For now, I will request that you do say a few words, and we will deal with that handover part of it thereafter. Over to you, Madam. Come through this way. Okay, over to you.
If you don't mind, I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Okay. Honorable Ministers and the Resident Coordinator, I request to rest on the protocol already observed. My name is Beatrice Mutali. I'm the UNFPA Resident Representative to South Africa. In the interest of time, I'll be very brief. The onset of puberty and menstrual cycle is a fundamental and healthy aspect of the lives of women and girls and is very much linked to the fulfillment of human rights and specifically reproductive rights. Yet access to menstrual health remains a constraint in South Africa and across Africa. And as we note, it has continued to hinder the daily activities of adolescent girls and women, particularly those with disabilities, increasing school absenteeism, limiting productivity, resulting in stigma and discrimination, and has negative implications on their sexual and reproductive health and mental health as well. UNFPA, the United Nations Population Fund, promotes a life cycle approach to menstrual health and sexual and reproductive health in general, and has broad approaches to promoting and improving menstrual health around the world. Some of those approaches include reaching women and girls directly with menstrual supplies and safe sanitation facilities, particularly in emergency and crisis situations. It also includes working to improve education and information about menstruation and human rights concerns, and also through the youth programs, providing comprehensive sexuality education to help both boys and girls to understand that menstruation is healthy and normal. Where required, UNFPA also trains health workers who can provide information about the care for menstrual health and challenges and complaints such as bleeding outside regular menstrual flow. As UNFPA, we are therefore very pleased to partner with the Department of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, with the Department of Social Development, with WaterAid and with Footprints and other partners in ensuring that in the current challenging environment of COVID-19, we contribute to efforts aimed at ensuring access to menstrual health services to adolescent girls, particularly those with disabilities. I would also like to reaffirm that we remain committed to continued collaboration in enhancing menstrual health management. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Beatrice Mutali. Our next speaker to provide remarks is Mr. Robert Kampala, Regional Program Manager, WaterAid.
Good afternoon, Honorable Ministers. Honorable Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, Minister in the Presidency, responsible for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Honorable Lindiwe Zulu, Minister in the Department of Social Development. Professor Kize, Deputy Minister in the Presidency responsible for women, youth, and persons with disabilities, the UN Resident Representative, Ms. Nados Thomas, the UNFPA Country Representative, Ms. Beatrice Mutali, all protocols are observed. Honorable Ministers, let me join my colleague, the UN Resident Representative, firstly in commending the government in the strategic approach that it has taken to managing and combating the spread of the coronavirus in the country. COVID-19 presents us with the opportunity to increase the focus on the promotion of hygiene behavior change in national health strategies and in disease-specific plans and programs. One of the programs that WaterAid is also supporting the government is the Presidential Initiative on Sanitation Appropriate for Education initiative that we are working in Limpopo, together with the Department of Basic Education in ensuring that schools have got access to clean water, decent toilets, and also hygiene. Honorable Ministers, as it is evidenced this afternoon, WaterAid is also working effectively with the Department of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities, and also the Department of Social Development, UNFPA, and other partners in assisting vulnerable women and girls in centers and shelters around Gauteng to ensure that we address issues of hygiene and more specifically ensure that sanitary products are available during this lockdown and beyond. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, periods do not stop during pandemics. And as we look ahead to the forthcoming Menstrual Hygiene Day, it is significant to lay focus not only on the provision of these hygiene products to our women and girls who cannot easily afford or access them, but to also address some of the key socio-economic factors that relate to women's safety, empowerment, and development. This is also an opportunity to prioritize issues of water, sanitation, and hygiene as fundamental to preventing future pandemics and to ensuring that investments are not only short-term, but also they are long-term investments that support sustainable health systems. Access to information about and services for sexual reproductive health, as well as how to prevent the spreading of the contagion, is vital during this period. And I'm happy to see that our organizations have worked together to produce social media messaging, posters, and other necessary information for the public to ensure that they stay safe. Honorable Ministers, WaterAid is therefore proud to be one of the partners, and we remain committed in addressing the needs of women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable members of our communities. We will continue to support and work with you and other key government institutions in ensuring that critical issues of water and sanitation are addressed and that our communities are well served as best as we can. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Robert Kampala. Our last speaker for remarks, representing the organization Footprints Foundation, is the CEO, Mr. Eric Mlambo. Over to you, Mr. Mlambo.
Afternoon, ministers and all partners in attendance this afternoon. Sorry?
You bring it down. I can't hear you.
Afternoon once again. I would like to greet the ministers, deputy minister, the UN country representatives, and members of the media. As Footprints Foundation, we are excited to pledge our support towards this historic partnership aimed at distributing menstrual and hygiene products to vulnerable women and girls in South Africa. The foundation, in partnership with Procter & Gamble, reaches between 15 to 25,000 girl learners annually through our program called Always Keeping Girls in School in all provinces. We target schools in quintile 1 to 3. To date, we had been able to reach Limpopo, Northern Cape, and Free State. And due to the outbreak of COVID-19, we couldn't reach other learners. This partnership, we hope that will enable us and pave a way for distribution to continue to reach other learners who are at homes due to the lockdown. In conclusion, I want to mention that I got a call this morning from a young man in Zeerust who was pledging to this forum and partnership to say those areas should not be forgotten, as there are learners who are dying for menstrual and hygiene products. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Eric Mlambo. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, may I afford the Minister in the Presidency, Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, the opportunity to address us. Over to you, Minister.
I now know why, Program Director, I wasn't reminded that this partnership is with Procter & Gamble. Because when they came to announce that they were arriving in South Africa, we were in Parliament, Minister, remember? And we said we shall follow them. Now you were very clever. You found a way to find us. But we shall see who will win, because we are in the game of reaching out to our people. Program Director and Acting DG, Mayor Shoki, Tabalala, Deputy Minister, Honorable Professor Mhlengiwe Mkhize, UN Resident Coordinator, Mayor Bekele Thomas, WaterAid Director for Southern Africa, Robert Kapala, Country Representative for the United Nations Population Fund, Beatrice Mutali, Regional Program Manager from WaterAid, Elijah Adera, CEO of Footprints Foundation, Eric Mlambo, and your partners. Respected guests and members of the staff, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister of Social Development, this is for you. We are not a delivery department. We work with you. You are our social partner in need and indeed for our people, particularly at this very critical time. When I wake up every morning and I ask myself, but what is this COVID? They say, your great-grandmother told you of the First World War. Your grandmother told you of the Second World War. You are now a grandmother. What were you going to tell your grandchildren? Every generation has to have something that they have to say in our lifetime, this and this happened. And it is really just not so as dramatic as we read it was going to be. But still, it's hurting. But every time you have this dramatic events, the most hurt would be the most downtrodden, would be the most vulnerable. And in this case, the most vulnerable will always be women. Particularly when it comes to this very personal, this very special gift of menstrual cycle. It's a gift from God, from us to God, from God to his people. Otherwise, this room wouldn't be full if this gift didn't come from God to us. But it is a very painful gift because when it comes, nobody cares how you take care of yourself. You are on your own for a given period or age in your lifetime. For you, for reproduction and procreativity to take place. This time around takes place at the time of this most disliked happening again, called a natural happening called COVID-19, a pandemic, just like the one that was similar to the First World War, second, the Spanish flu maybe, closer, has once again highlighted that united we will work together and win, and divided will fall. And if you want to help women who know how to take care of themselves, we better be coordinated so that we can coordinate together with them. This reaching out, Procter & Gamble, please, let it not be in small boxes at a ceremony, at a corner of media, something, and then it's the be and end all. Minister of Social Development, Melindu, we did promise that we will visit where they live, where they manufacture the things. This is not enough. This is too little. I don't know how much you took to those schools you say you are taking to, and the partners you've chosen. In fact, the partnership we really want, the partnership we believe we qualify for. Not only that we demand, but that we deserve, is the actual manufacturing of these things that are about us, without us. Not the ones you have already made and put in boxes and then you call a press conference, a media conference, and it's okay. So I'm sure this is just a warm-up. We will have a real thing. The day we will know who are your real partners. Real partners, we mean the real users who are even financial partners, so that we bring in financial inclusion in women, be them abled, disabled, from all the quintals that you have been referring to here, disabled, poor and rich. Women are tired of handouts. It's even more of an insult when a handout is about something that is about them. things that is about their lives. COVID says when we wake up, we must wash our hands, we must sanitize our hands. If you you've been visited by your grandmother, those who don't know. You also have to put something clean somewhere, well made. So it cannot be that it has all those things have happened without you. We really don't want to threaten you. We want to thank you for your partnership because you are not visitors. You are here to stay. So today we are going to be very, very, very nice to you. But because you are not guests, when we talk of menstruation and the whole care of a woman in her livelihood would be that you will know, not today, not tomorrow, in 10 years to come, that Procter & Gamble had chosen a good partner, because we will make profit. We will make profit together. I'm not saying cash. I am saying we will make profit together. We will raise healthy children even post-COVID. During COVID, we will embrace you as our partner because you are here, you are our partner. We will go through this COVID because you are here safe. You will make money. We will grow good partnerships. The money we will make together. The whole continent of Africa will celebrate because that you are here. You will grow, but you will grow together with the girls and the boys that will make you proud because they will be healthy because you have arrived. As for the girls, they will not be poorer because you have arrived. We are going to work together, moving on with the Minister of Social Development as our partner. That which you have brought together today, we are going to say to her, congratulations. But I am going to say to her, because maybe she can't say it. No, in our culture, you don't say it in your own way. Someone else, your sister should say it on your behalf. This is not enough. With these few words, I would want to say once again, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Minister. May I then request that Ms. Nados Bekele come to the front, joined by Minister Zulu, as well as Minister Maite, for the symbolic handover. And thereafter, Minister Lindiwe Zulu will do or provide a response on her part. We have received almost 30,000 sanitary or menstrual hygiene and health products. This is a symbolic handover. I hand over to yourselves, ministers.
She's already spoken. That's a heavy one. It's not a it's heavy, this one.
Thank you.
May I kindly hand over to Minister Lindiwe Zulu for her response remarks.
I will start where Minister Nkoana-Mashabane left. She said sisters can say that this is not enough. So I'm saying this is not enough, but you know, in our traditions also, we always thank the little that we get. We start from there, and we say, thank you very much. Magwande nalapho nithathe khona ngesizulu, which means where you were able to go find what you were able to share with others, you will continue to also find. But I also want to add another angle to it, which I think women in particular are looking forward to us really stepping up on this one. It is about local production. It is about women being given or taking. Minage, I don't just go looking. If I see that the door is not opening, I kick it. So it's about women also being able to say now, how long have we been asking for us as women to be producing something that is about us because we understand it even better? It's a science, yes, I know. But we are scientists too today as women, so we cannot be excluded. And therefore, appreciating what has been given to us today, we also request the giver, that giver, do not lose sight of the fact that I've always known always has been forever. Yeah, all of us, we know always has been always forever. But the issue for us is always the producers of this, can they also make sure that as we go into a new economy, and because our own economy has been drastically affected by the COVID virus, as we rise out of that, women must not go and be still struggling the same old way for them being part and parcel of the ownership of the means of production in South Africa. And least of all, something that really speaks to their heart. So, Minister Nkoana-Mashabane and your DM, I would like to say to you, this partnership is going to be a long partnership. Even when we are gone, it will still be a long partnership. Because it is a partnership which is an institutional partnership. It is not a partnership that's based on just us. It's just that with us, we have a history that brought us to be where we are today. The struggle for women's emancipation and the sisters that are here, we still have a story to tell of where we started and where we are going. So this partnership still has a long way to go. I also would like to say to Madame Bekele Thomas that the United Nations and us come a long way. And I wish to thank you for actually leading the entire UN representatives who are here in South Africa for the meeting that you called us to, and I had to organize that meeting in order for us to share our ideas and share our knowledge and share what needs to be done by South Africa to help the situation. And you were in the forefront of saying the United Nations are friends to South Africa for a long time. You cannot be here in South Africa without stepping up and standing up and saying, can we look for areas where we can collaborate? And one of those areas is this that we have today, including the program that you spoke to earlier on. And to Beatrice Mutali, we are having a strong partnership. We have a strong partnership with the UNFPA, and we were together in Kenya not long ago, before COVID, where we were able to talk about the issues of population development and what we need to do as nations to make sure that we share good practices and appreciation of the growing numbers of our population and the challenges that are faced, particularly by African people in their different countries. We thank you for being here, but also to all the partners that participated here. When I saw Kampala, I was like, yo, I used to live in Kampala. There's somebody with the name Kampala, a surname Kampala here. Yeah, Kampala. Thank you to all of you for participating here and partnering with us is very important. The Department of Social Development uses the opportunity to distribute these dignity packs together with the other products that we distribute in relation to food parcels and others. But also I do want to say to you that we've got old, tried and tested processes of delivery. That's why I'm saying to you, Minister, I can assure you we'll be able to deliver this to the rightful people who need it. We normally do the distribution through substance abuse shelters for victims of crime, gender-based violence, treatment centers, facilities for persons with disability, community nutrition and development centers, child and youth care centers, drop-in centers, Tutuzela centers, and shelters for the homeless. And I think you're very much aware, of course, of the fact that the homeless are usually the ones who are in a worse situation because they sleep under the bridges, they sleep in different places. So you can imagine what it is for the women. I was saying earlier when we had a press briefing here that this COVID virus that attacked us, that stealthily came into our country, pushed us into doing some things very differently. We were able within a short space of time to go out and round up some of the people who were on the streets, and we took them to the shelters. Never mind that some of them are running out of the shelters, running away from the shelters. We understand some of them abuse drugs, and therefore when they are in the centers, they are unable to have access to those drugs. But as the future is facing us and we are looking for new ways of doing things, we are saying we want a South Africa that does not have so many people on the streets. That is what we would like to see. I also would like to say that this morning, one of Director Zubeida Dango, who is in this room, did collect the products this morning. I think I'd like to mention that she's somewhere in the room, or there she is in the room. And we wish to also thank you, Zubeida, from the Network for Women. We thank you for being part and parcel of this partnership, because ourselves as ministers and people who are in these high offices, respectfully, we need to give more respect also to the people who are on the ground, who are dealing with these issues on day-to-day basis. So we are hoping that what we have today will increase. And for those that want to also continue partnering with us, we want to say to you, we will distribute and we'll do everything we can to make sure that we don't find these things being sold by abotsotsi somewhere. Because that's one of the problems that we have. When we do everything we can to make sure that people are assisted, then you find the products being lost somewhere because somebody has decided not to be a good citizen. Somebody has decided to make money out of something that's so needed by the young girls. And the most vulnerable should be at the center of everything we do. Mr. Kampala, I think it's him who said that periods do not stop because of COVID. That is true. That is a fact. And that's something that we... and periods don't stop because your condition is very different. And may I say and request Minister Nkoana-Mashabane and Deputy Minister Mkhize, we have a lot of work that we need to do, and I think the United Nations can assist us there in advocacy and the education of what actually is periods. In South Africa, when you talk about periods, it's almost like a swear word. It's a swear word, and some of our community members don't even want to know anything. So when a woman is going through that period of having periods, it's like that woman is dirty, that woman is whatever. I think it's time that we really took the bull by its horns here and educate our people, because the sad part of it is that during our times when we were growing up, it took very long for young girls to start their period cycle. These days, I'm getting information that girls at the age of 10, at the age of 11, what does that poor young girl know about this? Worst of all, that poor young girl, it's difficult because the parents don't even want to talk about it. The relatives or anybody doesn't want to talk about it. So the poor girl has to rely on what is being said at home. My view is that parents must take responsibility. It's your responsibility to teach the children about this. And you're not going to teach only the girls. You will teach both boys and girls about what it means to go through that period. Many of the young girls go through very difficult, it's painful for some, and therefore they have to hide. Many of them can't go to school because they fear that the boys will be teasing them and all that. So I think in today's world, we can't be having the same situation which we had ourselves in the 70s when we were still at school. And then this year and in this century, we are still finding it very difficult to have a conversation about something that is very natural. We need to break this cycle of making women feel uncomfortable about something that Minister Nkoana-Mashabane has spoken.
All right, that's Minister Lindiwe Zulu, and of course she joined her colleague, Minister in the Presidency responsible for women, youth and people with disabilities, Nkoana-Mashabane, the handover of menstrual and hygiene products. That's of course what they're doing today. This is part of government social relief interventions, of course stating the fact that in traumatic times the most vulnerable are women. And of course you would expect that the Minister of
Women. So we've got to stop it and realize that we are in another world. We have to help each other and make sure that women are respected, especially during the time when they are going through their period. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Minister Lindiwe Zulu. I just need, as I do the vote of thanks, to indicate that the menstrual hygiene and health products that we have received comprises the following. Of course, it's the 30,000 sanitary towels, 10,000 soap for hand wash after the young women or women have used their sanitary pads, 1,000 posters on COVID-19, which will be followed by the educational pamphlets, as well as 4,125 masks that will be distributed to those that need them most. And more is to come in the next few weeks so that we reach to the most remote areas of our province and we reach out to the most vulnerable in society, those that are being serviced by the civil society organizations, some of our faith-based organizations, the NPOs, and all of them. I really would like to indicate that this is a call to action more than anything, symbolic as it is by nature. We would like to appeal that as and when we make a contribution to the Department of Social Development in assisting them, that as society, we do not forget to add sanitary towels as well. That in itself will help us to reach great heights. Thank you for the partnership forged today. We would like to take it to great heights beyond today's symbolic handover gesture. We're looking forward to also forge or strengthen this partnership with civil society organizations. And we would like to thank our ministers present today, our partners that made this possible and who committed for more pledges. I would not announce the pledges that we received because they are not yet here, But if I were to announce that, it's a huge amount of products, the value that they are donating to this kind of work. It's really, really high and impressive. But also to thank the media for your coverage and thank everybody else that made this session today possible. I would like to thank you, and the session is adjourned. I'm just correcting myself. Can I just check with media? Maybe you have an interest in terms of questions and answer session before our principals leave, ministers. Let me just check if there'll be interest in terms of questions. We are closing. Done. Thanks.